The whistle's sharp blast pierced the autumn air like a gunshot to my chest, yanking me back from the edge of denial I'd clung to for a decade. There he was, under the floodlights of Willow Creek High's football field. Jordan Hayes, once the scrawny kid I'd tormented with endless jabs. Now, a towering force of a man, his voice booming commands that made a dozen teenagers snap to attention. My heart slammed against my ribs, a wild drumbeat echoing the secret I'd buried deeper than the roots of the old oak tree between our childhood homes. Teasing him back then wasn't cruelty. It was the only way a scared 15-year-old like me knew how to say, "I see you in God." It terrifies me. I gripped the metal bleacher beneath me, the cold bite of it grounding me as memories flooded in like the Ohio River after a storm. Unbidden, unstoppable, carving paths through the life I'd built far from this dusty grid of cracked sidewalks and faded clapboard houses. Willow Creek hadn't changed much since I fled at 18, chasing city lights and anonymity in Chicago sprawl. The same neon sign flickered over Millie's Diner, promising pie that tasted like regret. The same rusted swing set creaked in the town square park, where we'd once raced bikes until the street lamps hummed to life. But I had changed, or at least I tried to. A graphic designer now, with a sleek apartment overlooking Lake Michigan and a string of half-hearted dates that never quite filled the hollow ache. I'd returned only because Mom's voice on the phone had cracked like thin ice. Cancer, Alex. Stage 3. Come home. Home. The word tasted like chalk in my mouth as I watched Jordan pace the sideline, his broad shoulders straining against a Navy coach's polo, khaki pants hugging legs that had once tripped over their own feet. He was 30 now, all sharp jawline and easy confidence, the kind that came from years of turning inward pain outward into purpose. I'd heard whispers through the grapevine, social media stalks I pretended weren't obsessive, about how he'd come back after college, taken the reins of the football team, turned a losing streak into state semifinals. The boy who'd blushed under my barbs was gone, replaced by this magnetic stranger who made my pulse stutter just by existing in my line of sight. The practice whistle blew again, signaling the end, and the players jogged off the field in a chorus of laughter and trash talk. Jordan lingered, wiping sweat from his brow with the back of his hand, his green eyes scanning the emptying stands until they locked on mine. Time fractured. For a split second, we were kids again. Me, the cocky quarterback with a smirk to hide my confusion. Him, the quiet artist sketching in the margins of his notebooks, dodging my pranks like they were dodgeballs in gym class. His lips parted, a flicker of recognition. Then something deeper. Surprise? Wariness? Desire? The air between us thickened, charged like the moments before a thunderstorm rolls in over the cornfields. I stood too quickly, my sneakers scraping the bleacher steps, and bolted toward the parking lot where my rental car waited like an escape pod. But Willow Creek was too small for running. Paths looped back on themselves, forcing confrontations you couldn't outpace. Mom's chemo had sapped her sparkle, leaving her frail in the queen-size bed I'd slept in as a boy, but she'd insisted I attend the game tomorrow night. Tradition, Alex. Jordan's team needs all the support it can get. Her eyes, still sharp behind the chemo fog, had twinkled with that knowing glint. Did she suspect? Had she always? That night, as rain pattered against the roof of our old Victorian on Elm Street, 2 houses down from the Hayes place where Jordan's mom still hung laundry on Sundays, I lay awake, staring at the glow-in-the-dark stars I'd stuck to the ceiling at 12. They had faded to ghosts, much like the promises I'd made to myself in Chicago. I'd date women, blend in, build a life without the whispers that had started in high school locker rooms. Fairy, they'd called me once, after catching me staring too long at the curve of a teammate's shoulder. I'd laughed it off, doubled down on the teasing, aiming it at Jordan because he was safe, soft, the only one who never punched back. But God, those moments haunted me. The way his laugh bubbled up despite the flush on his cheeks, the secret sketches he'd hidden of boys from magazines, which I'd accidentally found in his backpack and waved around like a trophy. A knock at the front door jolted me upright at dawn, the kind of insistent rap that demanded answers. Heart hammering, I padded downstairs in boxers and a threadbare tee, flipping on the porch light to reveal Jordan, drenched from the downpour, a toolbox in one hand and a sheepish grin on his face. Mrs. Thompson called, said the gutter's leaking again. Figured I'd fix it before it floods your mom's sunroom. His voice was deeper now, gravelly from years of shouting plays, but those green eyes held the same quiet plea. Don't run. I swallowed hard. the air between us humming with the rain's rhythm. It's Alex. And yeah, cool mean. As he stepped over the threshold, water pooling at his feet, I caught the scent of him, clean soap and wet earth, and realized with a gut punch that some things hadn't changed at all. The pull was still there, magnetic and merciless, drawing me under like the current of the creek we'd skipped stones across as kids. Little did I know, this fix-it visit was just the crack in the dam. By week's end, the flood would drown us both in truths we'd dammed up for far too long. The toolbox clanged against the kitchen linoleum as Jordan set it down, shaking rain from his hair like a dog after a bath. I busied myself with the coffee pot, anything to avoid the way his wet shirt clung to the ridges of his chest, outlining muscles honed from endless drills and dawn runs. "Black, 2 sugars?" I asked, voice steadier than I felt. Pouring from the pot Mom kept perpetually brewing. He leaned against the counter, arms crossed, that grin softening into something almost tender. "You remember, it wasn't a question, and the weight of it hung there. How could I not?" Mornings like this, back when we were inseparable despite my barbs, he'd sneak over before school, raiding Mom's stash while I pretended not to notice how his knee brushed mine under the table. "How have you been, Alex? Chicago treating you right?" I slid the mug across, our fingers grazing in the exchange, a spark that shot straight to my core. "It's busy. Deadlines, crowds. You know, lies all of it." The real grind was the loneliness, the apps swiped left on guys who weren't him, the therapy sessions where I'd skirt around the name Jordan like it was a live wire. "And you? Coach Hayes. Sound official." He chuckled, low and warm, sipping his coffee. "Yeah, well, after State U, I bounced around assistant gigs. Came back when Coach Riley retired. Kids need someone who gets it. The pressure, the small-town eyes on every fumble." His gaze dropped to the mug, lashes dark against his skin. "Miss this place, though. The quiet. The people." The people landed like a stone in still water, ripples spreading. Did he mean me? Or was it just polite chatter, the kind neighbors traded over fences? I nodded, throat tight, and led him out to the backyard where the gutter sagged like a weary soldier. Rain had eased to a drizzle, misting the air with that earthy scent of revival. As he climbed the ladder, toolkit slung over his shoulder, I held the base, staring up at the flex of his calves, the way his jeans rode low on his hips. God, when had he become this? The boy I'd pushed into mud puddles for laughs was a man who could command a field or a heart with a glance. Flashback clawed at me then, unbidden. Summer sophomore year, the creek bank alive with fireflies, us 12 and invincible. I dared him to jump the fallen log, bridging the water, knowing he'd hesitate, using it as ammo for tomorrow's cafeteria roast. But he'd done it, landing with a whoop that echoed through the willows, turning back with arms wide. "Your turn, Thompson." I'd frozen, not from fear of the jump, but the triumph in his eyes, pure, unguarded joy that made my stomach twist in ways I didn't understand. I called him chicken legs, instead, splashing him until he splashed back, our laughter mingling with the current until dusk pulled us home. That night, alone in my room, I'd punched my pillow, whispering curses at the heat pooling low in my belly. Wrong. It was all wrong for a place like Willow Creek, where Sunday sermons warned of sins that damned, and dads like mine clapped sons on the back for touchdowns, not tenderness. Jordan grunted from above, hammering a loose nail. "Hey, remember that time you bet me I couldn't climb the water tower? Ended up with a sprained ankle and your mom baking me apology cookies." His voice floated down, laced with amusement. I laughed despite myself, the sound rusty. "You were such a klutz. Thought you'd break your neck showing off." Teasing. Always teasing. It was my shield, forged in the fires of confusion. Better to wound than to whisper the truth. I envied his quiet sketches, the way he'd capture a flower's curve or a bird's wing with strokes that breathed life. Mine were stick figures, aggressive scrawls in the margins of playbooks. Hiding the sketches, I'd tear up of him. Jordan laughing, Jordan running, Jordan looking at me like I was the sun. He descended the ladder, wiping his hands on a rag, close enough now that I could see the faint scar above his lip, from a bike crash we'd both caused, me pedaling too fast to impress. "Not all klutz, though. Scored the winning goal in Pee Wee soccer because of your encouragement." Air quotes around the word, his eyes locking on mine, green depths swirling with unspoken history. The drizzle picked up, beating on his lashes, and for a heartbeat, neither of us moved. The world narrowed to the space between us, 2 inches, maybe less, charged with the what-ifs we danced around since puberty hit like a freight train. Then Mom's voice called from the doorway, frail but insistent. "Boys? Breakfast?" The spell shattered. Jordan stepped back, flashing that grin again, but his cheeks held a flush that mirrored mine. As we filed inside, shoulders brushing in the narrow hall, I wondered if he'd felt it too, the gravity pulling us toward collision. Little did I know, that morning was the first thread unraveling the tapestry of my carefully constructed straight life. By noon, when he invited me to watch film at his place, the knots would tighten into something unbreakable. Over eggs and toast, Mom's specialty, even on weekdays, conversation flowed easy like we'd never parted. Jordan regaled her with tales of the team's underdog spirit, his hands gesturing wide, painting pictures of scrappy kids defying odds. She beamed, patting his arm. "Always knew you'd make something of yourself, Jordy. Unlike this one, running off to the big city." Her tease held no bite, only pride laced with ache, and I squeezed her hand under the table, the fragility of her bones a reminder of why I was here. Not for Ghost, but for her. After, as I cleared plates, Jordan cornered me at the sink. "Film session later? My office at the school. Could use a fresh eye on plays." His tone was casual, but his stance, shoulders squared, eyes earnest, betrayed the undercurrent. I nodded, throat dry, and watched him go, the screen door slapping shut like a judge's gavel. The drive to Willow Creek High that afternoon felt like traversing a minefield of memories. The parking lot where I'd first kissed Sarah Jenkins under duress, her perfume masking my disinterest. The gym where Jordan had sat out dances, sketching in the shadows while I twirled obligatory partners. His office was a converted storage room off the field house. Posters of Lombardi quotes, taped to cinder block walls, a whiteboard scrawled with X's and O's, the faint scent of turf and determination. He was already there, laptop open, replaying a grainy clip of last week's scrimmage. "Sit," he said, patting the rickety desk chair beside his. Our knees knocked as I settled, the contact sending jolts up my spine. For an hour, we dissected plays, his insights sharp, passionate, drawing me in until the screen blurred with more than footage. "See here." He paused the video, leaning close, his breath warm on my neck. That hesitation, it's fear. Gotta teach him to push through. Our eyes met in the laptop's glow, and the room shrank. "Like you did." The words slipped out, raw, laced with apology for every shove, every slur disguised as joke. He didn't flinch. Instead, his hand covered mine on the mouse, deliberate, electric. "Took me years, Alex. But yeah, pushing through." The confession hung, heavy with subtext. The years after high school, the college hookups I'd glimpsed in blurry party pics, the rainbow pin on his lanyard I'd spotted earlier. Out and proud, while I'd armored myself in denial. Thunder rumbled outside, sealing us in. "Why'd you tease me so much back then?" His voice was soft, vulnerable, cracking the coach facade. I pulled away, heart racing. "Because you were different. Made me feel things I wasn't ready for." The admission burned, but freedom followed, sharp and sweet. He nodded, slow, like he'd always known. "Me too." Rain lashed the window as we sat in silence. The storm outside mirroring the one brewing within, turbulent, inevitable, promising a downpour of reckoning. The rain didn't let up for 3 days, turning Willow Creek's dirt roads to mud slicks and confining us to a rhythm of hospital runs, diner coffee, and stolen glances that lingered too long. Mom's treatments at the county clinic in Dayton were grueling. Hours in sterile waiting rooms where she'd grip my hand, whispering stories of Dad's glory days on the gridiron to distract from the nausea. "He'd have loved seeing you two thick as thieves again," she'd say, her eyes flicking between me and Jordan, who insisted on driving us each time, his truck's cab a cocoon of quiet understanding. It started innocently, him tagging along for moral support, as he put it, his presence a balm against the fluorescent harshness. But by the second trip, our fingers intertwined on the console during red lights, a secret Morse code of squeezes. "I'm here, it's okay." The third day, as we waited for her scan results, he pulled me into the vending machine alcove, away from prying eyes. "Talk to me, Alex. You've been a ghost since that film session." His concern undid me. I leaned against the humming machine, the buzz vibrating through my back. "It's everything. Mom, coming back. Seeing you like this. It's like Willow Creek's replaying my failures on loop. The words tumbled out, the failed engagements, the bar crawls where I'd chase skirts to prove a point, the mirror stares where I'd hate the man reflected back. Jordan's hand found my jaw, thumb tracing my stubble with a gentleness that buckled my knees. Not failures, survival. His lips brushed my forehead, chaste but searing, and I melted into it. The vending machine, our confessional. When Mom emerged, results mercifully stable, we drove home in charged silence, her dozing in the back seat, oblivious to the tectonic shift up front. That night, after tucking her in with chamomile tea and a dog-eared romance novel, for the happy endings, baby, I found Jordan on the porch swing, nursing a beer from the six-pack he'd brought. The rain had cleared, stars pricking the velvet sky like hesitant confessions. I joined him, our thighs pressing on the worn slats, the swing's creak a lullaby to our tension. "Remember the fort?" he asked, tilting the bottle my way. I took a swig, the bitterness grounding. "How could I forget? Treehouse in your backyard, nails from your dad's toolbox, blankets stolen from my laundry. We'd built it at 14, a rickety haven from the world, where whispers turned to secrets. I'd tease him about his latest crush, a girl from art class, while sketching crude caricatures on the walls, masking how I'd traced the line of his neck when he wasn't looking. He laughed soft. "You drew that mustache on me with marker. Took days to scrub off." But his eyes darkened, voice dropping. "Truth is, it was always you, Alex. Even then, the teasing. It hurt, but it kept you close. Guilt knifed me. I was an asshole, scared shitless of what you made me feel. In a town where gay was the punchline to every joke. Willow Creek's underbelly, the slurs scrawled on lockers, the pastor's fire and brimstone Sundays, had drilled it in. Love like ours was a weakness, a ticket outcast." Jordan set the beer aside, turning to face me, his hand sliding to my nape, fingers threading my hair. And now, the question was a dare, his breath mingling with mine. "Now, I don't want to run." The admission freed something primal. I closed the gap, our mouths crashing in a kiss born of deferred longing, fierce, forgiving, tasting of hops and home. His lips were soft yet insistent, parting mine with a groan that vibrated through me. We broke only when headlights swept the street, old man Hargrove walking his mud, and pulled apart breathless, foreheads touching. "Jordan." His name was a prayer, a plea. "Chill, we've got time." But as he stood, pulling me up with him, I knew time was the enemy. Mom's illness a ticking clock, the town's watchful eyes a minefield. Yet in that swing shadow, with fireflies winking approval, we stole a piece of forever. The next morning dawned crisp, the kind of fall day that painted Ohio gold, and Jordan dragged me to the field for morning drills, code for him teaching me to throw a spiral again, rusty as I was. Laughter echoed off the goalposts as footballs sailed wild, mine veering like my emotions. "Elbows up, Thompson!" he'd yell, circling behind to adjust my form, his chest to my back, hands guiding mine in a hold that blurred instruction and intimacy. Sweat slick and grinning, we collapsed on the 50-yard line, grass tickling our skin. "You're a natural liar," he teased, propping on an elbow, his face inches from mine. "Always were better at catching than throwing." I rolled toward him, heart full. "Caught you, didn't I?" The flirtation felt new, exhilarating. No shields, just us. His kiss this time was slower, exploratory, tongues tracing apologies and affections long withheld. Hands roamed, mine under his shirt, mapping the planes of his abs, his in my hair, anchoring. The field, once a stage for my bravado, became sacred ground. But paradise cracked that afternoon. At Millie's Diner, over cherry pie a la mode, buzz cut through the chatter. Tommy Riley, my old linebacker buddy turned auto shop owner, slapping Jordan's back a tad too hard. "Coach, bringing the team to glory, huh? And looky here, city boy's back. Heard you're helping with the widow Thompson." His eyes narrowed on me. Then Jordan, the subtext slimy. "What are you two up to?" Jordan jaw tightened, but he played it cool. "Just old friends, Tommy. Pass the salt." I forced a laugh, but the pie turned to ash. Willow Creek's vines tangled quick. Rumors sprouted from glances, threats from traditions. Driving home, Jordan's knuckles whitened on the wheel. Ignore him. Small minds, big mouths. Easier said. Fear coiled in my gut. Not just for us, but Mom, whose health couldn't weather scandal. He pulled over at the creek bridge, killing the engine. Alex, listen. I came out senior year, after you left. Dad disowned me for a month, but Mom stood firm. Team? Some bail, but the real one stayed. It's scary, but worth it. His hand found mine. We don't have to hide. Not anymore. Tears pricked my eyes. What if it's too late for me? It's not. He kissed my knuckles, fierce. Let me show you. As we crossed that bridge, literal and figurative, the water rushed below, carrying away doubts. But Tommy's glare lingered, a harbinger. Storms weren't just weather in Willow Creek. They brewed in hearts too stubborn for change. Weeks blurred into a fragile idyll. Mom's good days sinking with our stolen nights. Dinners where Jordan charmed her with stories of his travels. Her laughter a melody I'd feared lost. Mornings tangled in my childhood sheets. His body a map I memorized by touch. Willow Creek's rhythm enveloped us. Friday lights where I'd cheer from the stands, our eyes locking across the turf like private signals. Lazy Sundays at the farmer's market, fingers brushing over heirloom tomatoes. The town's bustle a veil for our quiet joy. But joy, in a place like this, was a flame too bright for shadowed corners. It started small, whispers at the gas station, sidelong glances from church ladies at the Piggly Wiggly. Then Tommy escalated, a friendly beer at O'Malley's after the homecoming win, where the team celebrated with pitchers and backslaps. Jordan held court, dissecting the game, but Tommy cornered me at the bar, breath sour with stout. Coach has got a soft spot for strays, huh? Watch yourself, Thompson. Some lessons from high school stick. The threat slithered under my skin, but I brushed it off until the next practice, when I arrived early to find Jordan arguing with Principal Hargrove in the parking lot. It's just a pin, sir. Represents inclusion. Jordan's voice was steady, but his fists clenched at his sides. Hargrove, Tommy's uncle and a relic of the old guard, puffed up. This school's about football, not agendas. Take it off, or we talk budget cuts. The rainbow pin, tiny, defiant, glinted on Jordan's lanyard. I stepped in, heart pounding. Hey, Principal. Great game last night. Distraction bought time. Hargrove grumbled and retreated, but the damage festered. That evening, over takeout lo mein on the living room rug, Mom napping upstairs, Jordan deflated. It's escalating. Tommy's stirring shit, saying I'm distracting the boys. His fork stabbed a noodle, eyes stormy. And you've gone quiet again. Guilt twisted. I'm trying. But Mom, she's responding to the trial meds. Last thing she needs is gossip. He set his bowl down, crawling across the rug to straddle my lap, hands framing my face. We're not a scandal, Alex. We're real. His kiss was urgent, reclaiming. Teeth nipping my lip, hips grinding in a rhythm that erased words. We made love there, slow and deep, the rugs we've imprinting our skin like brands. Afterward, spent and sated, he traced patterns on my chest. Remember the Harvest Festival? Sophomore year, you dare me to ride the Ferris wheel alone. I chuckled, the memory bittersweet. You puked cotton candy after. Blamed me for weeks. But under the dare was care, me slipping him ginger ale in the hay bales, wiping his mouth when no one watched. Best dare ever. His voice muffled against my shoulder. Because you stayed. We dozed like that, limbs entwined, until Mom's cough echoed from above, a reminder of fragility. As I checked on her, tucking the quilt higher, she caught my wrist. That boy's good for you, Alex. Don't let fear steal this. Her wisdom, hard-won, pierced deep. The breaking point came mid-November, leaves carpeting the streets in crimson decay. The team was prepping for playoffs, Jordan's intensity a live wire, but Tommy's sabotage simmered. Tampered equipment, anonymous notes in lockers, coach's secret exposed. I found one slipped under my wiper after a late-night run. Faggots don't belong in Willow Creek. Back off or else. Panic-clawed. I confronted Jordan at his apartment. A modest bungalow on Maple, posters of world landmarks hinting at dreams deferred. We need to cool it. For your job, the team. Mom. The words choked me, traitorous. His face crumpled, green eyes flashing hurt. Cool it. After everything. He paced, hands raking his hair. I thought you were in this. That we were building something. We are. But Tommy, he's unhinged. What if he hurts you? Or worse, her? Tears burned, my voice cracking. Jordan stopped, pulling me into a crushing hug. Then we fight. Together. His resolve steadied me, but doubt lingered like fog. The next day, at the clinic, Mom's news shattered the fragile peace. The cancer had spread. Metastatic, the doctor said flatly, as if uttering grocery lists. She took it with grace, squeezing my hand. More time with my boys. That's the win. But inside, I fractured, anger at the universe, at myself for half-lives. Jordan met us in the hall, face ashen from my call. He enveloped us both, a pillar unyielding. Driving home, he plotted, double chemo, second opinion in Cincinnati. We'll make it. His optimism was a lifeline, but Tommy's shadow loomed. That night, unable to sleep, I wandered to the creek, stones skipping under moonlight like pleas. Jordan found me there, coat over pajamas, his presence a warmth against the chill. Can't hide forever. I know. We sat on the bank, shoulders touching, the water's murmur absolving. Just scared of losing you before I have you. He turned, cup on my cheek. You have me. Always did. The kiss that followed was a vow. Tender, then torrid, hands fumbling in the dark until urgency won. Under stars that witnessed our youth, we reclaimed each other, bodies sinking in a dance of defiance. As climax crested, waves lapping our cries, I whispered, I love you. His response, gassed against my neck, love you more. Dawn broke with resolve, but the storm hit at practice. Tommy, drunk and belligerent, storming the field mid-drill. You're ruining these boys, Hayes. Parading your lifestyle. Players froze, the air electric. Jordan stepped forward, voice steel. Get off my field, Riley, or I call the cops. Tommy lunged, fist swinging wild. I surged from the bleachers, tackling him midair, old quarterback instincts flaring. We hit turf hard, rolling in a tangle of fury. Enough, I roared, pinning him. This town's bigger than your hate. Sirens wailed distant, Hargrove arriving to haul Tommy away, sputtering threats. The team encircled us, murmurs shifting from shock to solidarity. A few claps on Jordan's back, tentative but real. Bruised and breathless, Jordan pulled me up, our embrace public now, unapologetic. You fought for us. For you. The words sealed it. No more hiding. Mom, watching from her porch that evening, discharged early, a fighter's gleam in her eye, smiled as we approached, arms linked. My heroes. Willow Creek's winds whispered change, but we stood firm, roots entwining deeper. Playoffs descended like a blizzard, blanketing Willow Creek in frenzy, banners strung across Main Street, pep rallies thumping with bass that rattled diner windows. Jordan threw himself into it, his playbook a Bible of redemption, turning raw talent into symphony. I became his shadow, scouting opponents till midnight, massaging knotted shoulders post-drill, our home a sanctuary of strategy sessions that dissolved into skin-on-skin debates. Mom rallied too, chemo infusions fueling her fire. She knit team scarves in waiting rooms, her needles clicking prayers for victories on and off the field. But Tommy's arrest, assault charges, a restraining order, unleashed backlash. Petitions circulated at the feed store, protect our youth from agenda coaching. Hargrove called Jordan in, ultimatum on the table, resign quietly or face the board. Jordan refused, voice unwavering. I'm coaching football. The rest is me. The town fractured, old-timers clutching pearls, younger parents waving pride flags at the next game, a quiet revolution. I stood by him, fielding calls from reporters sniffing scandal, my Chicago polish cracking under scrutiny. It's our story, he'd say, kissing my temple in the truck's cab, headlights cutting fog. Ours to tell. Intimacy deepened in the pressure cooker. Lazy mornings where I'd wake to his mouth on my collarbone. Lazy traces spelling love in freckles. Evenings by the fire, Mom regaling us with tales of her wild youth. Danced with girls at sock hops, scandalized the deacon. Her wink revealing layers I'd missed. Love's love, Alex. Don't squander it on what-ifs. The semifinal against Riverton loomed, a grudge match etched in rivalries. Pre-game jitters had Jordan pacing our kitchen at dawn, coffee untouched. What if I choke? For the kids, for us. I blocked his path, hands on his chest, feeling the thunder of his heart. You're unbreakable. I dropped to knees, worshiping him with mouth and hands until resolve hardened in his eyes, and elsewhere. Go win it. I murmured, rising to claim my reward, a kiss tasting of salt and certainty. The stadium pulsed that Friday, stand a sea of navy and gold. Mom front row in her team beanie, frail but fierce. Kickoff blurred into poetry. Jordan's calls crisp, players executing with grace born of trust. Halftime tied, Riverton's bruiser line pounding our defense. In the locker room, Jordan's speech was raw. This game's bigger than a trophy. It's about heart. Yours, mine, the kid next to you. Play for that. Second half erupted. Interceptions, fumbles, a touchdown dance that shook the bleachers. With seconds ticking, down by 3, our quarterback, 17 and shy, who'd confided his own crush to Jordan, faked a handoff, scrambled, launched a Hail Mary. The ball spiraled true, nestling in the end zone for 6. Uproar deafened. Jordan sprinted the field, hoisting the kid high, tears carving tracks down both their faces. Post-game, confetti raining. I met him in the tunnel, sweaty, euphoric, pulling me into shadows for a victory kiss that bruised sweet. We did it. You did. Pride swelled, but so did fear. The final against state powerhouse Easton waited, and with it, the board's vote on Jordan's fate. Monday brought the reckoning. Town hall packed, air thick with murmurs. Hargrove droned bylaws, petition in hand, 200 signatures demanding Jordan's ouster. We value tradition here. Then Mom rose, voice quavering but steel-edged, leaning on my arm. Tradition? Willow Creek's tradition is grit, surviving floods, farms failing, kids like these boys fighting for dreams. She gestured to the team, clustered in back row, faces solemn. Jordan teaches that love, real love, is the grit we need most. Signatures? I got one, mine. And Alex's. And every heart that beats true. Applause erupted, tentative then thunderous. Tommy's allies shrinking, allies rising. A parent stood. My son's stronger because of Coach Hayes. Another. He helped my boy come out. Saved him. Stories cascaded, a dam breaking. Hargrove folded, defeated. Motion denied. Coach stays. Jordan, beside me, exhaled shaky. In the chaos of hugs and cheers, his whisper, your mom. She's magic. Like you. We slipped out to the square, under the clock tower, kissing amid fireworks from the rally, public proud, the town's pulse syncing with ours. But elation crested into crisis that night. Mom's fever spiked, ambulance lights, strobing Elm Street. Hospital halls echoed our steps, Jordan's hand vice-tight in mine. She's tough, he murmured, but fear etched his face. Doctors stabilized her. Infection from the port, treatable, but the scare hollowed us. In the waiting room, dawn graying windows, Jordan broke. Can't lose her. Can't lose this. Sobs racked him, my rock crumbling. I held him, rocking like a child. You won't. We're tougher. Vows exchanged in whispers. Forever, no matter the scoreboard. Discharged midweek, Mom plotted from bed. Win that final, boys. For me. Jordan nodded, fire rekindled, but privately to me. After, we're getting out. You, me, a fresh start. Chicago? Or somewhere new. The dream ignited hope, but Easton loomed, a Goliath of scholarships and scouts. Practice intensified, Jordan's edge honed razor sharp. I scouted their film obsessively, spotting weaknesses, over-reliance on power runs, vulnerable secondary. Hit him with speed. I advised over diner fries, our booth a war room. He grinned, stealing a fry. My secret weapon. Foot under the table, toes tracing my calf, flirtation amid tactics. Game night arrived, stadium a coliseum under cleats. Mom watched from home, TV her window, phone clutch for updates. Kickoff was carnage. Easton bulldozing early, lead ballooning to 14 by quarter 2. Jordan adjusted on the fly, his calm a beacon amid chaos. Halftime, down 21, locker room atum. Jordan's voice cut through. This isn't over. Remember semis? Heart over horsepower. He glanced at me in the doorway. Unspoken. Fight like we do. Third quarter miracle. Fumble recovery. Screen pass for yards. Field goal narrowing. Fourth. Our speed demons danced, reversing field on punts, pinning Easton deep. With 4 minutes left, tied, Jordan called the audible gamble of a reverse flea flicker. The ball flipped, sailed, caught in the corner for the go-ahead score. Pandemonium. Easton drove desperate, but our defense, kids who'd learned resilience from their coach, stuff them on fourth down. Final whistle. Victory, state champs, Willow Creek etched in history. Trophy hoist blurred with tears. Jordan dedicated it to Mom, to us. In the stands roar, our kiss, brief, bold, drew cheers, not jeers. Change it rooted. Championship glow lingered like champagne haze. Willow Creek transformed overnight. Parades down Main with convertibles and crepe paper streamers. Local news crews interviewing teary parents. Jordan's face on every banner. Hayes, hero of the heartland. The board not only cleared him, but voted a raise. Hargrove's handshake grudging, but genuine. You win, coach. Tommy slunk to the sidelines, facing community service and counseling, his bluster deflated by the tide of support. For us, normalcy ballooned tentative. Double dates with teammates' families at the orchard, hayrides where hands linked under blankets, quiet nights at Jordan's, cooking spaghetti from his grandma's recipe, fed by forkfuls between kisses. Mom's health stabilized, the spread halted by aggressive new therapy. Her color returning, jokes sharper. If I beat this, you two owe me grandkids. Or at least a puppy. We laughed, but the future whispered urgent. Over Thanksgiving turkey, Jordan carving with flourish, Mom toasting to second chances, he broached it. Alex and I, thinking of a place together. After playoffs wrap. Mom's eyes missed it, but she nodded. Go, build your life. I'll be the embarrassing in-law visiting with pies. Her blessing was oxygen, freeing lungs I'd held too long. Winter gripped Ohio, snow blanketing fields and hush, but tension simmered beneath. Easton Scouts had whispered to Jordan. College coordinator gig, big city perks. It's a step up, he said one frosty evening, breath fogging the truck window as we drove the back roads. But it means leaving Willow Creek. My stomach nodded. And me? Us. Chicago called too. My job remote now. Flexible, but uprooting meant risking the fragile peace we'd forged. He pulled over at the Old Oak, engine idling. With you. Always. Hands in my hair kiss melting doubts. Deep, devouring, seats reclining to cradle our urgency. Snow swirled outside, insulating our moans, bodies arching in syncopated need. Wherever, as long as it's us. Climax shuddered through, leaving us panting, promises sealed in sweat. Decide together, I murmured, tracing his jaw. Spring thawed resolutions. Jordan accepted the coordinator offer at Ohio State. Columbus, 2 hours drive, a bridge between roots and reach. I negotiated hybrid work. Mom's guest room prepped for weekends. Trial run. We joked, packing boxes with care. But fate tested. Mom's 6-month scan revealed remission. Miraculous, hard-fought. Celebration at Millie's turned revelry. Town toasting her as fiercely as Jordan's team. In the diner's glow, Tommy approached, sober, sheepish. Coach, Alex. Sorry. Was lost myself. Handshake offered tentative bridge. Jordan clasped it. We all are sometimes. Welcome back. Pride swelled. Forgiveness, the true championship. Summer bloomed. Our last in Willow Creek, a montage of farewells. Bonfire with the team, esmores and speeches, kids hugging Jordan tearful. Creek picnic with Mom, her stories weaving legacy. Last night, under fireflies, we made love on the fort's remnants. Treehouse long gone, but spirit enduring. This is home, Jordan whispered, inside me, our rhythm's earth's pulse. You are. Tears mixed with release. Forever. Moving day dawned golden. U-Haul loaded, Mom waving from the porch, puppy, a scruffy lab named Champ, in her lap. Call tonight. Columbus welcomed with bustle. Our apartment overlooking the Scioto, sleek lines, king bed for tangled mornings. Jordan's days blurred with recruits, mine with designs, evenings ours. Runs along the river, dinners debating plays and palettes. 1 year on, at the state fair, corn dogs and carousels, Jordan dropped to knee amid the midway lights. Alex Thompson, you teased me into loving you. Marry me? Make the race permanent. Ring simple, silver band, etched with a football spiral. My yes a sob, kiss drawing cheers from strangers. Mom, visiting, hooped loudest, Champ yipping approval. Wedding was small. Ohio orchard. Autumn leaves confetti. Mom officiating with a justice's commission, by the power vested, and a mother's say-so. Vows exchanged under the arch. I tease no more, I cherish always. Ring slid, kiss sealed, dance floors alone at first, then crowded with teammates, townies who'd driven hours. Honeymoon in the Smokies, cabins and cascades, hikes dissolving into clearings where we'd claim each other under pines. Our story, Jordan murmured one dawn, body spent, sun gilding his skin. Humanity's arc bent toward light, we'd learned, through storms of self-doubt, tempests of prejudice. Willow Creek faded but rooted us, a reminder, love's race isn't won in sprints, but in the steady beat of hearts aligned. Years layered, Jordan climbing to assistant head coach, me illustrating children's books on acceptance. Our first, Tease to Treasure, a veiled memoir. Mom thrived, babysitting our adopted twins, rowdy boys with green eyes and brown curls, teaching them spirals and sketches. At their 10th birthday, backyard bash echoing our youth, Jordan pulled me aside by the oak sapling we'd planted at our vow renewal. Still racing my heart, I kissed him slow, every beat. In Willow Creek's shadow, we'd built an empire of empathy, proof that from teasing barbs could bloom profoundest bonds, turning small-town boys into legends of love. The twins' laughter chased fireflies across the lawn, their whoops mingling with the sizzle of burgers on the grill. Jordan's domain, apron tied cocky over his polo, flipping patties with flair. Medium rare, just like your old man's kisses, he'd quip, winking at me over the smoke, drawing groans from the boys and a chuckle from Mom, ensconced in her Adirondack with a gin and tonic, watching her legacy unfold. 10 years since the proposal, and Columbus had woven us tight. House in the suburbs with a treehouse rebuilt sturdier, playset scarred from endless games. Jordan's office walls papered in championship photos, mine with book covers. Sequels to our story, tales of boys finding courage in quiet moments. The twins, Riley and Brooks, embodied us. Riley's intensity on the soccer pitch, Brooks's sketchpad never far, capturing family in charcoal strokes that tugged my heart. But anniversaries unearthed ghosts, gentle now. Visits to Willow Creek, where Mom's Victorian stood sentinel, the creek bridge repainted by community hands. Tommy, reformed, ran the auto shop with a pride sticker in the window. Hargrove retired, his successor flying rainbow flags at games. You two started it, he'd say, clapping our backs at reunions. Tonight, post-cake chaos, chocolate smeared like war paint. The boys crashed early, exhausted from pin the tail and water balloons. Jordan and I retreated to the porch swing. A Willow Creek relic Mom had shipped, cradling wine, stars winking overhead. Remember the first swing? He murmured, foot pushing lazy rhythm. How could I forget? Rain-soaked confession, your toolbox dripping. I leaned into him, his arm a familiar weight. Tease you mercilessly next day at school. He nuzzled my temple, kept me coming back. Laughter rumbled deep. God, Alex. 10 years. Feels like yesterday, and always. Emotion crested, the human weave of us. Threads of pain transmuted to gold. We made it. I whispered, tears pricking. Through the races, the doubts. His kiss was reverent, wine-sweet, hands cupping my face like fragile flame. Because we chose each other. Every day. Inside, lovemaking was unhurried worship. Candles guttering, bodies mapping scars and joys. His laugh lines from coaching triumphs. My softened edges from fatherhood. Love you, gasped in unison. Release a symphony of gratitude. Dawn brought coffee on the deck, twins tumbling out for pancakes. Mom FaceTiming from her cruise. Don't burn him, Jordy. Her remission a decade strong. Adventure's her reward. Jordan plated stacks, syrup art of footballs and hearts. The boys devouring with chatter of dreams. Riley to coach like Dad. Brooks to illustrate worlds like Pop. As they scampered off to fort building, Jordan pulled me close, forehead to mine. Our hook, that whistle on the field. Best sound ever. I grinned. Raced my heart then. Still does. Life's narrative arced graceful. Jordan's promotion to head coach at State. National buzz around his inclusive program. Scholarships for all, no matter the closet. My books on bestseller lists. School readings where kids asked, is it true? And I'd nod. Every word. Love wins when we let it. Mom passed gently at 85, summer solstice, surrounded by grandkids' songs and our hands in hers. Proud, she breathed, slipping to stars. Her service in Willow Creek drew hundreds, stories of the woman who'd mothered a movement, one pie at a time. Grief bowed us, but lifted light, a foundation in her name, scholarships for queer youth in small towns, Jordan's team volunteering, my illustrations funding. The boys, 12 now, sketch memorials, play dedications, resilience inherited. At her grave, under the oak weed planted decades back, Jordan and I stood, arms linked. She saw us first, he said, voice thick. Saw the value. Wind-stirred leaves, a whisper, keep racing. Years rippled, twins to college, Riley captaining, Brooks exhibiting in galleries. Us graying graceful, travels to Paris cafes, Tokyo dojos, Jordan's wanderlust sated, my sketches filling journals. 50th loomed, but every dawn renewed. Coffee kisses, porch swings, hearts synced. One eve by the Scioto, twilight, gilding waters, Jordan stopped mid-stroll, turning earnest. Alex Hayes Thompson, you teased a boy into a man, a life into legend. Thank you. Tears fell free. For the race. The win. Our kiss, under bridging lights, echoed the first, charged eternal. Willow Creek's boy next door had become my compass, proving, in small towns or sprawling cities, love story writes itself bold, cathartic, conquering all with a heartbeat's brave rhythm. And so, we walked on, hands clasped, the path ahead luminous with what we'd built, a legacy of teasing turned to treasure, where every heart raced home.